So, day has finally arrived, the Team 7 podcast. I've been super excited about this. It's been in the pipeline for a while, and I think it's kind of the next step in our journey. Is that how you'd say it?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. So, Team 7 is a fitness platform, soon to be a fitness app. Can you say soon? When's this going to be released?
I'm not going to say when, but yes, it's very soon.
Very soon. We've a lot coming up, but this is the next kind of step, is the podcast. So do you want to tell anyone listening what Team 7 is and who we are?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's an important question because I think everyone knows Emmet, head coach, Team 7. People have trained with you, and then who the hell is Rob?
Who's Robert?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm the kind of the computer nerd behind some of Team 7. So I just thought I'd say who I was.
Yeah. It's important that everyone knows everyone involved in Team 7, because Team 7 wouldn't be Team 7
without the team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So Team 7 is an online fitness platform with goal-focused training plans. We have nutrition, we have recipes, we have intelligent logging tools, just a bit of AI being used. There's a lot of human curation. Head coach Emmet here is overlooking all the training plans and talking directly with all the members. So
we're kind of putting our heads together in two completely different worlds and making something very special, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably a good place to start, is where you feel like, can you remember when we first started talking about Team 7, where it first was brought up, like a digital platform?
I actually remember it very well because it was in this room, this very room. I attempted a podcast when I was 19. I'm 26 next month, so
7 years.
Nearly 7 years ago. I've referred to it as a failure a few times, but Rob gives me a slap on the wrist because everything's a learning curve.
For sure.
But I was just very unprepared, and I didn't have much of my own opinions. I was new to the industry, and I was kind of regurgitating what people I like to listen to said on their podcast rather than actually shaping opinions for myself. So I think the first thing that went wrong with that podcast was not having my own opinions, which I have probably too much of now, so that problem's gone. But this app was something we spoke about. This platform was something we said we'd love to do 7 years ago now, and it was kind of a what if. I trained Rob for a while, and every training session it was kind of, what if we done it, what if we done it, what if we done it. This year we bit the bullet and we haven't really looked back, have we?
Yeah, for sure. And it's actually the same with the podcast, because we've been bouncing around an idea about doing a podcast for a while as well. So between that, Team 7, you've trained me for quite a while, and you're going out with my cousin as well. So
which is I don't know, is a good thing or a bad thing.
It's family. It's all family. It's all family.
I just need to keep his cousin sweet for a while and be alright.
Yeah. From building Team 7, me coming from a nerdy background and training with you for so long, and then you training and knowing exactly what you want to see in a platform. I think the two of our brains coming together to build out what we wanted to see that we couldn't find in the market already.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually, for me, it was a pinch me moment when I explained to Rob exactly how I envisioned the platform looking and what I wanted for my clients and what I wanted it to offer. And then I remember when you sat down with the laptop and showed me the kind of draft, and I thought, that's it, like, we've made it, I'm a millionaire. It just, every week then for months, took months to build, and every week it was just getting better and better and better. And it's not the final product yet, we're still growing all the time. Like this podcast, we are soon to be an app. It continues to grow, but it is definitely a pinch me moment. I can't believe that my name is behind it, because it is a very special platform. It's
an interesting one with technology. I come from a technology background, so I'm always used to iterations, like the very first draft to 0.2, 0.3 before your version 1.0. So it's almost like kind of, when you're training and you do like a 6-week program and then you do the following 6-week program, it's like you're growing. Technology is very similar to that kind of that attitude.
Exactly. And it's the same with the fitness industry as well. It's constantly moving, and that is something I was guilty of, is not keeping up with the pace of the industry, because I'm not savvy with technology and stuff. So I was doing the 16-hour stints, trying to train as much people as possible and help as much people as possible, but it was all on the gym floor because I didn't back myself with this side of things. So it's why the relationship with Rob is so important, because one, he's teaching me how to be better with these sort of things, and two, it can put my fitness brain and his technology brain into, again, making Team 7.
You have plenty of experience in business background from your own personal training, right?
Yeah, so I first registered as a sole trader. I opened my own business under O'Neill Fitness. My name's Emmet O'Neill, hence the O'Neill Fitness. Done that when I was 18, and I've been a personal trainer ever since. even though with Team 7, everything, I love being on the gym floor. I think I'll always PT as just, even if it ends up just being a hobby, I love training people on the gym floor. All of my clients now on the gym floor are Team 7 members. So it's something I don't think I'll ever stop, but the online space is definitely something that we are exploiting now, because it is the future of training. In lockdown, that's what kind of
during COVID, yeah, for sure.
I was forced to move all of my clients online, and then I was able to take on. I've always been fortunate to have a really strong demand to train with me, and all of a sudden my 30 people cap in the gym in lockdown was turning into 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 people.
But that became hard to manage, right? Like because it was using WhatsApp, using Zoom. You had training plans going out on WhatsApp, and it was hard to know, did I send that already? Or
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And again, I know I keep going back to Team 7. Well, it is the Team 7 podcast. But again, that's why Team 7, it makes it so much easier to handle that high volume of members, because the site runs so smoothly, which helps massively. And the fact that it's not O'Neill Fitness anymore, it's Team 7, emphasis on the word team, is we already have coaches on board, we have nutritionists on board, I have Rob, so everything, the workload is distributed amongst everyone. And I think creating a team of people, a really special, strong team of people, is what the game changer is in this as well.
We're both very ambitious. So if we were to limit ourselves to just what we know, I mean, like, the ceiling is only so high, but as soon as we start talking about, we'd love to get a physiotherapist involved, we'd love to get sport-specific coaches involved. Now, as a team, we're greater than the sum of our parts.
Yeah, exactly. Something else we are going to touch on today, which is important, is how we got here, even personally outside of Team 7. Like, obviously Team 7, the idea grew, but even in our careers and stuff, highs and low, what has us sitting here today running what I would say is a really successful business so far. So do you want to give a bit of background about you, Rob, and where kind of your career path led you to today?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'll probably go from COVID onwards, because I think really where the Team 7 journey kind of starts is during COVID. I started app development and web design and kind of getting into nerdy. I was always nerdy, even from like a child. Like, I was programming people's phones when mobile phones, I'm 35, so when mobile phones first came out, I was programming mobile phones for my father and his friends and all that kind of stuff. From COVID onwards, I started designing apps, designing websites, getting into technology as part of employment and as part of my job. And I think that's where it kind of merges with fitness between what you were doing then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then for myself personally, I was actually very fortunate with how things fell for me. I worked in a really busy pub with a lot of staff on the harbour here in Skerries, where we live in Dublin, and I was training to be a personal trainer while I was working in that pub. And just due to nobody knew how I was as a coach, but sheer loyalty to me and my friends in this job, I was nearly fully booked from the day I qualified as a personal trainer. And obviously then the results spoke for themselves, which led to years of being fully booked. I was very, very fortunate with my career path. I left that pub, and then I remember walking into the gym 3 days after quitting the pub with training 10 people that day, 8 people the next day, just overwhelmingly busy, which is great. So I never really had struggle with the whole, a lot of personal trainers take years to build staff. It's a very saturated industry, clients. It's a very saturated industry, which I never felt the kind of pain of trying to build that client and budgeting money and all stuff like that. I never really had to do that, which I'm extremely fortunate. My kind of the only low I really had in my career was actually this year. I put my head down for about 2 years and saved every single cent I had to open my own business. I opened a sports recovery centre. I'd done a course in lockdown in sports massage therapy, and I got big into the recovery side of things, and I opened a sports recovery centre. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it is a place for people who take their training really seriously to go and recover. So there's ice baths, there's saunas, there's compression boots. Rob actually loved it in the recovery centre.
I loved the ice baths. I loved the challenge of it. But you always see, like, it's popular on Instagram and TikTok, and Joe Rogan is mad into ice baths, so that really brought it to the
exactly
forefront,
yeah. But my issue was like that. 2 years, saved every cent I had, no loans, nothing, just opened this recovery centre, 16-hour shifts in the gym to get the money for the recovery centre. And then unfortunately it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Yeah,
That's business though, right?
yeah, no, like obviously you learn from it, but it was a big hit. Like it was, as I said, I worked very hard to save up from it, and the idea was there. It was a great idea, but unfortunately, like how you need to recover in fitness is adequate protein, get your 8 hours sleep, and then a recovery centre is a bonus for people who take their training extremely seriously, like nearly overtrained, that they need these recovery accessories. In a small town, like the average trainer doesn't need to get into an ice bath and an infrared sauna and do compression boosts. Yes, it's nice and you'll feel good, but someone's not going to add it into their weekly routine. So we weren't as busy as we thought we were going to be. That was kind of a make or break. I remember when the business crumbled and we decided we weren't going to move forward. The landlord at the time actually told me that he hates the green that I painted the walls and that I need to paint it. So I asked a couple of people to help me paint, but no one was there. So I remember it was probably the hardest 4 days of my life. Because I was working all day. I was going there and I was there till 1 o'clock in the morning, just painting this room from my failed business for hours every evening. And I swore to myself then, I refilled my roster in PT, and I swore to myself, I'm never taking a risk again. I took a risk with Team 7. I moved 80% of my roster over to Team 7, onto the gold membership on Team 7.
This is your recovery from the recovery centre, right?
Exactly. So it shows that when you're young, like I'm only 25, I'm not as old as Rob now. It shows when you're young, it is the time to take risks, because I took a risk, it failed. I swore to myself that comfort was the way forward. I'm never going to feel the way I felt again. I was in a really dark place for a couple of months, and I bit the bullet, took another risk, moved all of my clients that I've been training for years over to this. I took that risk, and now honestly I haven't looked back. Team 7 is absolutely flying. There's so much more in the pipeline. We're going the right direction every week, so it shows when you are young, take those risks.
There's like parallels you can draw between, you were saying that you were comfortable, and being comfortable can be a little bit dangerous. And then obviously when you go into, say, a recovery centre, you're going to get into an ice bath, which is uncomfortable. You'll actually benefit from putting yourself in these uncomfortable positions. Like the person who's afraid to turn the dial on their shower down to cold because they're so comfortable with a warm shower. But, you know, when you turn it down to cold, you're going to wake up, and you're going to wake up fast. And I think it's funny that you can draw those parallels from you then jumping into Team 7.
It correlates to life, doesn't it? So
sure.
It's like that. It's like the cold shower. Like you have an ice bath, you have a cold shower. It sucks while you're doing it, but after it you feel amazing. It's the same with business. It's the building process of Team 7 or the recovery centre or whatever you're doing. The process of building it might suck. You might be budgeting your income. It might, like, you'll enjoy it along the way, but how you feel after, the reward you get from doing it will definitely be worth it. Same with exercise. Like, I don't know anyone that has their heart rate up at 190 going for a 5k run as fast as they can that feels good doing it, but you definitely feel great after.
Yeah, you certainly don't see them smiling when they're doing it, that's for sure.
Exactly, but the reward comes later.
What's next for Team 7? Obviously we're working on the podcast right now, but what is happening? Where are we going with Team 7?
I think a big thing for us is team expansion. We know we offer a solid service. We know the coaching is really good. We know the price point is really competitive. So I don't think getting members on board is going to be a problem for us. But I think it's about growing the team and the right people. Something we're really interested in is getting athletes involved.
Athletes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so sport-specific training for athletes, sponsoring some athletes, getting some athletes on board. And if for nothing else, it just brings on the image and motivates our members. If you have people that you look up to, the more people involved in Team 7 that the average person can look up to, it'll strive them more towards being more than average. Like more like those people. Do you know what I mean?
And I think the way we have Team 7 structured at the moment, we can be really agile in the sense of if a member is asking you for, I remember there was a member who messaged you saying that they were about to do a certain workout. That workout wasn't available on Team 7. Can you make it available? And within 20 minutes, we had it up and ready for them to log their workout. Emmet has his ear to the ground when it comes to sport-specific training in a sense of coming up to Dublin Marathon, which is happening this month,
yeah,
right?
This month, yeah.
How can we add value to that person who's about to run a marathon or who plays GAA or football? How can we add value to these people? And it's always about adding value to the feedback you're receiving on the gym floor, on the platform, and in your life generally, right?
Absolutely. And I think something we have covered really, really well is finding what our members want and then leaning towards that. So it's very I have the ways I like to train. Rob's big into boxing and running. He has the way he likes to train. Every individual has how they'd like to train. So Team 7 is about making a program that suits everyone, and I can't, one coach can be spread too thinly. So we have taken on a coach now that he loves the running side of things, which he will be taking over some programming on the running side of things. I love functional fitness. I train like a hybrid athlete. For anyone that doesn't know what a hybrid athlete is, it's someone that dabbles between both energy systems, so they do their endurance work and their strength work. It's kind of mixing different types of training together. So I love that side of things. I have great experience with clients of cutting, bulking, all stuff like that, but I don't want to spread myself over 20 different type of people, because then you wouldn't get the service you're kind of chasing from a coach.
We want to find people who are specialists in those categories.
In those areas, rather than me. I have a fair idea. I played GA when I was 16 and I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I have a fair idea about GA specific training. But there will be someone with a better idea, and that's what we want Team 7 to be, is the best of the best. So we'll be getting coaches in to cover every single area. Like the nutritionists, we have a really, really popular nutritionist on board now. I'd have a good knowledge of nutrition and stuff, but hers is just a million times better, and that's what we want with Team 7. It's always better.
It's all about adding value for our members, adding exactly what they want in a training platform, and offering plans essentially for everyone, from price points for everyone to a training goal for everyone. And you can change your training goal at any time. So if you started to train, you were looking to lose weight and gain muscle, for example, and then later you wanted to get into hybrid sports or what Emmet was saying about running specific or sports specific training, you can change your goal at any time.
So, something else we're going to talk about today is, just because I love podcasts, I listen to them all the time. I have a lurcher which needs a lot of walking, so I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm walking him. And something I love to listen to, because I'm nosy, is just how other people train. I've trained Rob for years. Rob, I know when I worked with Rob in the pub, he was doing his own training and stuff as well. So you're massively into fitness, Rob. Kind of, you're leaning more towards boxing now, aren't you?
I wouldn't say massively into fitness. I mean, it's
the people you look at is probably like me, but for an average person, you train a lot. You do train a lot.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at my Apple Watch and see what I've done in my steps, because I'm sat in front of a computer so much. But yeah,
we're not sponsored by Apple, by the way.
yeah, we'd love to be though.
Yeah.
The main piece of training that I love running. I love just kind of have my own thoughts. I was actually about to ask you a question when you were talking about you're listening to podcasts when you're walking your dog. Do you listen to podcasts and music when you're running? Because that was what was going through my mind. Was sometimes I go with nothing in my ears, and sometimes I want to know how
the David Goggins listening to music is cheating.
Yeah.
It depends on the run. If I'm going on a 5k, I kind of try keep my beats per minute with my heart rate. So if I want my heart rate up, and if I want to be absolutely hammering it, the music would be quite intense. But if I'm doing any sort of endurance work where I kind of want to distract myself, it would be podcasts.
Yeah, that's interesting, because sometimes when I'm running and I really want to push it and floor it, I'm trying to almost keep my heart rate down so I feel like I can get more out of it.
Yeah, you know you're listening to piano music.
Really calm, like really calm music while I'm flooring it, because I'm trying to get as much juice out of my heart rate as I possibly can, you know?
Yeah. Rob's one of those ridiculously stubborn people. You broke your ankle or fractured your...
Both ankles, yeah.
While out running, and I'm really sure he finished...
Well, I didn't fracture both ankles on the run, yeah, but I fractured... I think I was doing box jumps as well the same day. You got me into box jumps.
Yeah, you're probably not the best coaching in the world. Me and Rob, I just got extremely interested in how high Rob could jump. And a lot of our sessions were spent with Rob jumping up and down, doing one rep onto box jumps
until I broke my ankle.
Yeah, fair. Train with Team 7.
yeah. Actually, you know, I actually fractured my ankle out on my own, doing my own thing on a run that I shouldn't have been doing. So that was my bad. It wasn't actually your guidance that did it. Just full disclaimer.
We should do. You get a free T-shirt if you can draw what you think me and Rob look like. I love when podcasters speak and then you have this vision of what they look like, and then you see them one day on whether it's social media or anything, and they look completely different. We're going to talk about our training, and you're probably going to think we're two big, massive, jacked David Goggins bodybuilder.
Well, I was going to say, because I said like I'm sat in front of a computer all day, you probably think I'm the opposite of that, right?
Well, I have been bragging about how much you train now as well.
Yeah.
But as far as my personal training goes, I've had the evolution of my training has been a bit. I've trained kind of every means.
You did that. Remember, you did that. Like you did a serious weight cut at one point.
So that was kind of like the first. I feel like this is probably sounds stupid, but the first time I kind of had any sort of issues with my mental health was I done a bodybuilding prep. Most people listening would know what that is. I was meant to do PCA. It's a show in England, and I done a 21-week grueling diet. Anyone that's done a prep knows how hard it is. And I remember I was picking my girlfriend up from work 2 days before my flight out to the show, and good old COVID, I get an email to say the show has been cancelled. So 2 days before supposed to be stepping on stage, the show was cancelled, and we went into a lockdown, and I gained 3.5 stone. I gained 3.5 stone in 11 weeks of just pure binge eating. I stopped training completely. My only saving grace that got me back into training is I'm a twin brother, and any twins listening, the competitiveness between two twins is like nothing you will ever experience. And because my mum lives on her own, in lockdown we decided to move in with my mum, the two of us, and there was a lot of running races and who could train more, and we got very competitive. And in that first lockdown I was able to get myself back to kind of where I was pre-lockdown.
And when you say you're twins, you're identical twins, like you're spitting image
of each other. And that's kind of like where my fitness journey started, was from as young as the two of us racing home from school. Like the competitiveness between me and my brother was a massive drive into like every sport we done, everything we done, we always had to beat each other. So after doing that bodybuilding prep, what kind of got me back down, not even back down, what shifted all the body fat I put on from not training and got my fitness levels back up, was kind of the lockdown training with my brother. And that's when I shifted my training a lot towards endurance training. So I was doing a lot of running and cycling. But then 8 months later, I was out for a cycle with my dad and I was hit by a car.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. And
I don't think I remember this.
Yeah, in lockdown, me and my dad were out on a cycle and a lady was driving into a parking spot and hit me off my car, and I injured my ribs and my lower back, and I was out of training for another 12 weeks. But because of the mistakes I made from the last time I couldn't train, I didn't remake those mistakes. But then I got back into weightlifting and I kept the cardio up, and then grew this hybrid athlete. I do a lot of CrossFit stuff, I do a lot of endurance stuff, bodybuilding stuff. A lot of people don't like this style of training because you're good at everything, great at nothing, but it's just how I like to spread my workload, and I enjoy training for performance rather than image. And a good image, usually if you're good at performing, and your image follows suit.
And I think that's kind of that competitive streak in you, and now your broad knowledge and training. That's where on Instagram you share challenges, like a weekly challenge. You have me addicted to rowing now. I'm just trying to get my 2 kilometer row under, a certain time. I'm actually trying to get 7 minutes for Team 7.
I'd love anyone listening to this, try a 2 kilometer row and you'll see how difficult 7 minutes actually is. We actually have a wager on it as well. I don't think he'll get it by the time he goes to Portugal, which is
in 4 days. But originally you gave me 4 weeks, and then I had to cut it short because I'm heading away, and I'm not sure I want to be spending my holiday trying to beat a 7 minute 2 kilometer row. But you have me addicted to the rowing because of those challenges, and it's the competitive streak in you is kind of rubbing off,
Yeah, but I think everybody has it in them, and the great thing about being involved in a fitness community, a lot of people are very woke now. Competition is your only competition is yourself. But I'm a firm believer of competing against others and with others will drive you on. So being involved in a community like Team 7, like it's not about, you might be working on your individual training goals with me or one of the coaches in Team 7, but you are very much a part of the Team 7 community. And if that's you seeing someone logging a really good run or a good row as part of the challenge and you want to go beat that, and even if it takes 10 seconds off your time, that person has then, and that competitive streak has then pushed you on to being better in your training. That's why I think turning online coaching into a community-based platform is huge because everyone can bring each other on. Like, we competed in the turf games,
Yeah.
which was huge. We all pushed each other on. Don't explain what turf games was.
Well, I didn't compete. I watched, and
Rob took loads of great
took
photos.
Yeah, I was taking photos the entire time. Turf games was, you had six
teammates, 16 athletes, six athletes from the Team 7 community.
It was unfortunate that they didn't do teams of 7 because that would have been good. So it was 6 and then me taking photos. So,
You were the 7th.
I was the 7th, yeah.
And we had a few Team 7 members come to support as well that didn't feel they were quite ready to compete but wanted to be involved. And we're going to do the same competition next year, and I think seeing the atmosphere and seeing everyone pushing each other on, we're going to get a few teams together for next year.
And that was the birthplace of the orange t-shirt. I know you can't see us right now, but Emmet is wearing our Team 7 orange, a luminous orange t-shirt, which is really popular now.
At any point did any of us get lost?
No, for sure.
Hundreds of people, and it's like, oh, where's my team?
There they are.
The ones in the luminous orange t-shirts. But I think Rob's definitely going to compete next year, though, are you?
Watching it, there was a few, everything looked impossibly hard. And there was some...
we haven't even explained what the turf was.
Yeah, how would you describe it? It's like
it's a functional fitness competition.
But it's circuit. It's almost like a giant circuit, though, right?
Yeah, so it's a functional fitness competition spread between 4 workouts, which hit each energy system. So as I was saying, that suits me to a T because I train in each energy system. So there was kind of like an endurance based one where there was a lot of running and stuff involved, a mixed modal which would be very circuit based conditioning, there was a strength test. So it was a functional fitness competition that hit every energy system. So if you didn't train kind of like a hybrid athlete, if you just train for strength or if you just train for cardio, this would suck.
Yeah, there was like deadlift. Well, it wasn't a deadlift, but there was max.
There was a deadlift, front squat, back squat, and overhead press. Yeah,
so they were super impressive. And then you had what's that bag when you're throwing it over from one side?
The worm.
So the worm is basically 3 or 4 people, 3 people.
So I think it was optional. We were very fortunate to have a lot of people competing there. If they were closer to the endurance side of their training, they were slighter people. But it was 3 men and 3 women on our team, and I think I was the lightest there at 86 kilos, and then the other lads were well into the 90s. So we were fortunately able to handle the worm on our own.
But you can imagine for the worm, if you imagine a really long sandbag,
exactly.
How heavy is it roughly?
It was 90 kilos.
90 kilos, and then so three of you stand in a row, and you're kind of throwing it from your left shoulder over to your right shoulder, back to your left shoulder. It looked grueling.
It was a lot of reps. I think it was over 100 reps in total. And we actually, in our gym and in our members' gyms that competed, they're commercial gyms, so they don't actually have worms. So the first time we actually touched one was on the competition floor, which didn't help.
But you guys did amazing. Like, you looked like not one of you looked out of place doing it. You flew through that.
Yeah, when everybody else was lying down in absolute agony after their last workout, we were practicing
the worm for the next
movement we haven't done before. Yeah, so today's just more so brief, let you know a little bit about us, about Team 7, and just introduce the podcast, which we will be pushing a lot and releasing a lot of episodes. But before we go, this is something
you're excited about.
I'm really immature. My sense of humour is really immature, and so we're going to do a segment at the end of each podcast, and the segment for this podcast is unpopular opinions, and I'm hoping soon we create people following the podcast, people listening, and a lot of people with a lot of serious unpopular opinions jump on board as well. But for now, it's a lot of people taking the piss, which is great as well.
When we were reading them, we could not stop laughing at some of them.
Yeah, a lot of people taking the piss, and a few serious ones in there as well. A few questionable ones, but I think I'll read through them now if I can stop squeaking my chair, and we'll leave the podcast after this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Rob, I wanted to end on this one, but Rob thinks we should start on it.
Yeah,
this was this was the biggest shock. Kissing your dad on the lips is normal until you have children of your own.
When we got that in, when we read that for the first time, we could not stop laughing.
Oh, I thought it was so funny. And the fella, this is completely anonymous, but the fella that sent it, I know from school, and he 100% still kisses his lips. There's not too much to say about that one apart from...
No, some of them are just taken.
I feel like that, I feel like that is an opinion only you have. Fat and happy beats lean and unhappy.
That's almost like it's kind of, being rich and sad in my Ferrari, or being happy in my Fiat Punto.
Yeah. You used to have a Fiat Punto, didn't you?
And I was very happy in my Fiat Punto
fair.
at the time.
I feel like stuff like this is kind of a justification. I feel like anyone that needs to state that they're fat and happy are more than likely not happy.
Yeah, I mean the reality, like, so long as you're happy, period, that's what life is about. But then if you're saying fat and happy and trying to prove a point,
I'd be a certain believer of like fat is, like, you can change that word for unhealthy. Like, you shouldn't be happy to be unhealthy. Like, if you are fat is a statistic body fat percentage, and if you are over that, you're unhealthy, and you shouldn't be happy about being unhealthy. It's the same way if you had a flu, you're unhealthy. You shouldn't be happy about being unhealthy. If you are a large individual, you are not healthy, so you shouldn't be happy about that. That sounds extremely dark, doesn't it?
like, again, this is all about unpopular opinion, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's like being maybe they're not happy because they're fat. They're indifferent that they're fat, and they're just happy. So that's different than being
maybe. Yeah,
happy because I'm fat. Rather, I'm not sure if that's what they're saying.
I don't know. I maybe it's the personal trainer in me. I just could never wrap my head around the whole, like, it's okay to be overweight. It is okay to be overweight once you acknowledge the changes that need to be made. I feel like I'll end up fucking getting cancelled on the first episode.
yeah. All right, well, what's the next one? I'm actually afraid of what the next one is.
The next one is, are you coming here? That's my mum. Are you coming here at the weekend? No.
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah. Eye contact is overrated.
I've read somewhere that if you can't, like, obviously some people are going to have, insecurities or whatever, but I read somewhere that if you can't make eye contact, you're hiding something. Well, I don't know if I believe that. I think some people are just, I don't know.
I'm trying to think and put my finger on it now. Is eye contact something I do? Like, I don't recall ever looking into someone's eyes when I talk to them, and that could be a very emasculine trait. But like when I'm like shaking someone's hand, my dad's hand, rather than kissing them on the lips, I don't recall if I actually make eye contact with that individual.
But I think maybe like you're not being conscious of it. It's like if you're hyper conscious and you're constantly, I better make eye contact.
I need to think it comes across creepy.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're staring dreamingly into someone's eyes when you're having just a regular conference.
Yeah, just
like us, like.
Yeah, me and you going for a business talk and I'm just staring in your eyes. Yeah, fair. Right, next one is Ireland and a shit emoji, Australia and a shit emoji, which I assume they're saying Australia is shit.
What, is this about moving to Australia, or is this about
I don't know, so sports? It just says Australia shit emoji, so I assume an unpopular opinion, because so many people love Australia, I assume that unpopular opinion is that Australia is shit. Have you ever been?
I've never been. I'd love to go. It's probably, like, you just imagine that it's going to take you 24 hours to get there from Ireland, right?
I feel like my generation, I don't know about your generation.
I'm not that old, come on.
My generation, everyone's gone. There's very, very few I'm 25, nearly 26. There's very, very few people that, even a lot of my mates are gone, that, like, if I went to the pub on the weekend now for a pint, I'd see very few people my age, because they all seem to have gone to Canada or Australia or something. And any of my mates that I've spoke to absolutely love it over there.
We have members on.
We have a couple of members on Team 7 in Australia, and they all love it over there. I have Zoom calls every Monday morning. It'll be night time in Australia now with 2 people in Australia, and they absolutely love it. So I think, like, personally, obviously I've never been, but I think if you're running away from something, you might not necessarily find it in a different country, but if you go over there to experience that country and to be happy over there, but if you're going in search of happiness, you should probably try find it in yourself before you go. That sounds very hippie-ish,
deep.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. The one person you take on holidays with you is you.
yeah, fair. But I just think if you're absolutely miserable here and you go away to be happy, maybe it'll help, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm very much one of those small town syndrome. I get my couple of holidays a year and that's it. I don't know if you're a big sports fan, Rob, but watching a match on TV is way better than going to a match. You can see it way clearer.
Oh, well, I'm into the UFC, right? And to get tickets to that now, I know this is not like a match, say football or...
Well, Neve calls fighting sports matches.
And I've heard of many people do that. But I can imagine, like, for what I'm talking about, or even Formula 1, even it's not a match, but like if you see cars whiz by for like half a second, right? and then you're watching nothing for the next hour until they do a next lap.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
on TV, you can see them the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the same for football because you have a stadium and it's kind of like there's no bad angle in a stadium, or is there?
Well, it's more a case of, I don't think people, when people go to their matches, it's for the atmosphere. Like, your nanny and your dog aren't going to be singing the chants with you watching it on the telly.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. I know there's one stadium, I've been to a couple of matches, but I'm a Man United fan, and they say it's so people get the full experience of watching the game, but they have no big screen there.
Sure.
So if you look at your phone, or if you go down to tie your shoelace and something happens, you don't actually get a replay.
Right.
Which I'm not mad about, but that is a very unpopular opinion. In soccer wise, I'm a big football fan. You'd be more a fighting fan, but in soccer, I'm pretty sure 99% of people would rather be there in the flesh and experience the atmosphere and stuff than watch it on TV.
Yeah. I just imagine though, is everyone looking through their camera? Are they videoing? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Are you still looking at it from a screen, but you're just there feeling the electric buzz or whatever?
I think that's the diehard football fans now, that would definitely not be the case.
Sure.
But there is a lot of people that would have their phones out the whole time. Right, moving on. Cats are sounder than dogs. That is a very unpopular opinion.
I'd say it's probably a 50-50 opinion. I'd say we're going to split our audience on this one because...
Do you think so?
I would think so. Like, I know you're definitely a dog person, right?
I'm an animal person. I like cats. My ma's cat sound.
Sure, yeah.
But her dog sound.
Yeah. They watch football with you.
Yeah. I think I would have said the majority of people are dog people.
Yeah, I'm definitely a dog person, but when I was a kid, I used to hate cats for whatever reason. I think it's because I used to hear them screeching at night and I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
But then I got a cat and I absolutely adored the cat. So I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I think you'd find it's probably 50-50 on that.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I'd say so.
We're gonna, on the Team 7 page, stay tuned, we'll put up a poll.
A poll, cats or dogs. It's like the most basic debate.
It'll be beside the poll, does Rob get a 7-minute 2K row? Bald is sexy. For anyone that doesn't know, I don't have a hair in my head. And someone said bald is sexy. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, is it?
I don't think it's an unpopular opinion, or I don't.
See, I'm surrounded by yes people, so cause I'm bald, you'd have my mom being like, "Oh, you're so handsome! Like, you're so handsome without your hat on." Or or Neve would be like, I'd be like, "Neve, I might go to Turkey and get a hair transplant." No, you're perfect the way you are. So my experience of bald being sexy is true because my loved ones tell me how sexy I am.
Is the unpopular opinion bald is sexy? Is the opposite that bald is not sexy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
Okay.
So the unpopular opinion, very few people think bald is sexy. Well, I'm very young and I'm bald, so it must mean I have lots of testosterone, which is why I'm so good in the gym.
Bald and happy.
Bald and happy, yeah. Doesn't jeopardise my health. Watching Game of Thrones is better than sex.
I never got into Game of Thrones.
Did you not?
No.
Yeah, well, I know exactly what this person who typed this is doing while they're watching Game of Thrones. That might be why it's better.
Kissing their dad.
Yeah. Fat PTs aren't about body positivity. They are just lazy and shouldn't have a platform.
As in, the personal trainer is fat? Are we like
fat PTs? Yeah. So fat
overweight
are over. They shouldn't have a platform. I don't think that's a popular opinion. I think most people would say that there's not much of a space in the industry for overweight personal trainers.
You know, I mean,
I have a very mixed opinion on this.
I think someone trying to better themselves, right?
Yeah.
I've seen on Instagram there was a guy who was I'd say he was probably like obese, right? And he was learning how to do a chin up.
Yeah.
And he was starting from literally going on his tippy toes to using a band, and I thought that was really inspiring. So I never looked at him going, "Oh, he's overweight." I actually just saw a person.
Be completely honest now. If he got his PT qualification, would you choose him as a trainer?
If he was doing his chin ups. If I saw him doing his chin ups and he was proper good at his chin ups, I'd be like, how are you doing it? Regardless of his weight. But
exactly. No, I'd agree. I completely agree with that. So I don't agree that there's no space for PTs that are overweight, but I feel like at some point you have had to walk the walk. So there's football managers. Wayne Rooney, say, one of the best footballers to ever live, and he's overweight, he's in horrible condition, he probably can't run the length of the football pitch, but he is now a manager and he's a half decent manager. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you were a trainer that at some point were in great shape, or at some point had great fitness, whatever field you're in fitness, and you walk the walk and you have the knowledge to do that, if you are now out of shape, I don't think it's too much of an issue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to have been there. You have to
have walked the walk at some point. So like the chin-ups, as you said, if you've seen his progression of the chin-ups, then he has walked the walk at some point, and he can be a PT for chin-ups only.
Yeah, but I think like at least he's offering inspiration. So maybe saying like certified PT, obviously you need to get your certification anyway. You have to learn, you have to do the study. Yeah, it's a
tricky
one.
I
just thought that was really inspiring when I saw that.
No, it is, but it's the difference between an individual inspiring you and an individual teaching you. And I think what this person is saying, it's not body positivity. I think he's saying, like the fat and happy one, I think he's saying the issue isn't that they're overweight, the issue is that they're spreading like it's okay to be overweight, if that makes sense.
Because when I was watching that video of each progression, like he was obviously losing weight as he went through. He was getting
so he's walking the walk. So if he was a coach one day, that's fine. And I personally, if I wanted to be a bodybuilder and there was a 4-time Mr. Olympian that is now extremely overweight, I would absolutely use him as a coach. Same way if I wanted to run an Ironman and there was a European champion that won the Europeans 3 years in a row and he decided to start coaching and gained a load of weight as he retired, I would 100% train with that person, because at some point they walk the walk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that could be it on the unpopular opinions. Yep, that's it. So that's
I'm looking forward to the next podcast now to hear more feedback from these.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the feedback good. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast and you learned something about us and kissing your hand lips. Yeah.
Unpopular opinion.
Thanks, guys.